Our world is full of places so magical, so unbelievable, that when you see them for the first time, your brain says, "No way, that can't be real." But it is. Today, we are counting down 40 of the most jaw-dropping natural wonders on this planet. These are places that the entire world agreed must be protected forever. But here is the crazy part. Number 40 on this list? It is a place that 99% of travelers have never even heard of. And honestly, it might be the most beautiful spot on this entire countdown. So, if you think you've seen it all, trust me, you haven't. Mountains that float in the clouds, waterfalls taller than skyscrapers, an island that looks like it belongs on another planet, caves so big they have their own weather. All of that is coming. So, sit back and let's go on the most incredible journey around the world, starting with number 40. Now, before we start, let me quickly tell you what makes these places so special. You have probably heard the word UNESCO before, but what does it actually mean? Well, UNESCO is a group that works for the entire world, and their job is to find the most amazing, most rare, most important natural places on Earth and protect them forever. So when a place gets the title of UNESCO Natural Heritage Site, it means the whole world looked at it and said, "This place is too precious to lose. We must save it." And today, we are visiting 40 of these incredible places. Now, here is a little challenge for you. I bet you have not even heard of half of the places on this list. Some of these spots are so hidden, so secret, that even experienced travelers do not know they exist. So, as you watch, drop a comment below and tell me which place surprised you the most. I really want to know. And if you love learning about amazing places like these, go ahead and subscribe right now and hit that bell icon. That way, you'll never miss a video like this. All right, enough talking. Let's begin our countdown with number 40. And trust me, this first one is gonna blow your mind. Number 40, Socotra Island, Yemen. Number 40, and we are starting with a place that looks like it belongs on a completely different planet. This is Socotra Island. It sits in the Arabian Sea, near the coast of Yemen, and the moment you see it, your brain will not believe it. Because the trees here, they do not look like any trees you have ever seen. They are called dragon blood trees, and they look like giant umbrellas that got flipped inside out by the wind. Their trunks are thick, their branches spread out wide, and they have a dark red sap inside that people have used for medicine for hundreds of years. That red sap is why they call it dragon blood. But here is what makes Socotra truly special. This island broke away from mainland Africa around 6 million years ago. And because it was alone in the ocean for so long, nature did its own thing here. Plants and animals evolved in ways you will not find anywhere else on Earth. In fact, more than 1/3 of the plants on this island exist nowhere else in the world. Nowhere. It's like a real-life Jurassic Park, but for plants. And if you think this looks like another planet, just wait until you see what is waiting at number 1. Number 39, Plitvice Lakes National Park, Croatia. Number 39 takes us to a place that looks like it came straight out of a fairy tale. Welcome to Plitvice Lakes in Croatia. Now picture this. 16 beautiful lakes sitting one below the other like steps on a staircase. And connecting all of them? Over 90 waterfalls. The water flows from one lake down into the next, and then the next, and then the next. It is like nature built its own water park. But the most magical part? The color of the water. These lakes do not stay one color. They change. Sometimes the water is bright blue, sometimes it turns green, sometimes it looks gray. And it all depends on the minerals in the water and how the sunlight hits it that day. So every single time you visit, the lakes can look completely different. And here's something that will really cook your brain. The natural dams between these lakes are made by tiny moss and algae. And these little dams grow about 1 centimeter every single year. That means the shape of the lakes is always changing, slowly, quietly. Nature is literally redesigning this place every day. Plitvice has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1979. And honestly, it deserves every bit of that title. Number 38, Jiuzhaigou Valley, China. Number 38 is a place so beautiful that when people first saw photos of it, they said there is no way this is real. They thought someone edited the pictures on a computer. But nope, this place is 100% real. Welcome to Jiuzhaigou Valley in China. It is located in Sichuan province, hidden deep in the mountains. And this valley is filled with colorful lakes, rushing waterfalls, and tall, snow-covered peaks that touch the sky. The name Jiuzhaigou means Valley of 9 Villages, and that is because 9 small Tibetan villages have called this place home for a very long time. But the real star of this valley, the water. The lakes here are not just one color. They are blue, green, yellow, and sometimes all 3 at the same time. It looks like someone poured paint into the water, but it is completely natural. And the most famous lake of them all is called Five Flower Lake. The water in Five Flower Lake is so clear, so perfectly see-through, that you can look down and see ancient tree trunks sitting at the bottom. Trees that fell in hundreds of years ago, just resting there like a hidden underwater museum. Jiuzhaigou became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1992, and once you see it, you will understand why. Number 37, Wadi Rum, Jordan. Number 37 is a place so wild, so empty, so red, that Hollywood used it to film the planet Mars in the movie The Martian. And honestly, when you see it, you will understand why. This is Wadi Rum in Jordan. People also call it the Valley of the Moon. And the moment you step into this desert, you feel like you have left Earth completely. Huge red sandstone cliffs rise up all around you. Some of them go as high as 1,750 meters. The sand beneath your feet is orange and red. And there is silence everywhere. The kind of silence you have never heard before. But here's what's really amazing. Humans have been living in this desert for over 12,000 years. We know this because ancient people carved pictures and messages into the rocks. And those carvings are still there today, telling stories from thousands of years ago. That is why UNESCO made Wadi Rum a special mixed site in 2011. It's important for both nature and human history. And when the sun goes down, the night sky here is one of the clearest on the entire planet. Millions and millions of stars just shining above you while you sleep in a traditional Bedouin camp right in the middle of the desert. Number 36, Komodo National Park, Indonesia. Number 36 is a place where real-life dragons actually exist. No, I am not joking. Real-life dragons. Welcome to Komodo National Park in Indonesia. This place is made up of several islands in the middle of the ocean, and living on these islands are around 3,000 Komodo dragons. These are the largest lizards alive on Earth today. They can grow up to 3 meters long. That is longer than most cars are wide. They are heavy, they are fast, and they are dangerous. Because here is the scary part. Komodo dragons have venom glands inside their mouths. One bite, and their prey is in serious trouble. And when they eat, they do not mess around. A single Komodo dragon can eat up to 80% of its own body weight in just one meal. Imagine eating food that weighs almost as much as you do in one sitting. But Komodo National Park is not just about the dragons. This place also has one of the rarest beaches on Earth. It is called Pink Beach. And yes, the sand is actually pink. There are only about 7 pink sand beaches in the entire world, and this is one of them. Komodo National Park became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1991, and it is one of those places that reminds you nature is wilder than any movie. Number 35. Nha-Ke National Park, Canada. Number 35 is hiding deep inside the Canadian wilderness, and most people have absolutely no idea it even exists. This is Nha-Ke National Park. Now, everybody knows about Niagara Falls, right? It is one of the most famous waterfalls in the world. But hidden inside this park is a waterfall that is nearly twice as tall. It is called Virginia Falls, and it drops a massive 96 meters straight down. That is 315 feet of pure, roaring water crashing into the rocks below. And unlike Niagara, there are no crowds here, no gift shops, no tourists everywhere, just you and the raw power of nature. But the waterfall is just the beginning. This park also has deep canyons with walls so tall they block out the sunlight. It has natural hot springs bubbling up from underground, and it has miles and miles of untouched forest that looks exactly the same as it did thousands of years ago. Nha-Ke was one of the very first natural sites UNESCO ever protected, all the way back in 1978. And here is something mysterious. The name Nha-Ke comes from the local people, and it means River of the Land of Little People. It comes from old legends about a lost tribe that once lived in these mountains and then vanished without a trace. Nobody knows what really happened to them. Number 34. Dolomites, Italy. Number 34 takes us to mountains so dramatic, so sharp, so massive that they look like giant teeth biting into the sky. Welcome to the Dolomites in northeastern Italy. This place has 18 mountain peaks that rise above 3,000 meters. They are tall, they are jagged, and they are absolutely breathtaking. But what makes the Dolomites truly different from other mountains in the world is their color. The rock here is pale, almost white during the day, but when the sun starts to rise in the morning or set in the evening, something magical happens. The entire mountain range turns pink and orange. It literally looks like the mountains are glowing from the inside. The local people have a special name for this. They call it Endrosadira, which means glowing. And once you see it with your own eyes, you will never forget it. Now here's the part that will really surprise you. These giant towering mountains were once at the bottom of a tropical sea. 250 million years ago, this place was underwater, and the ancient coral reefs that grew on that sea floor, over millions and millions of years, they got pushed up and became the jagged peaks you see today. So when you look at the Dolomites, you are actually looking at an ancient ocean reef standing thousands of meters in the air. UNESCO recognized the Dolomites in 2009, and honestly, it's easy to see why. Number 33. Jeju Volcanic Island, South Korea. Number 33 is an island that was actually voted one of the new 7 wonders of nature. And when you learn what is on this island, you will totally understand why. This is Jeju Island in South Korea. Right in the middle of this island sits a massive volcano called Hallasan. It is the tallest mountain in all of South Korea, standing at 1,950 meters high. But the coolest part? At the very top of this volcano, there is a crater. And inside that crater, there is a beautiful lake just sitting there. A lake inside a volcano on an island. I mean, come on, how cool is that? But Hallasan is not the only volcano here. Jeju Island has over 360 smaller volcanic cones scattered all across the land. This entire island was built by volcanoes. And then there is what is hiding underground. It is called Manjangul Cave. And it is not just any cave, it is a lava tube. That means long ago, hot melted lava flowed through here like a river and left behind a giant tunnel. This tunnel stretches for 7.4 kilometers, making it one of the longest lava tubes in the entire world. And inside this cave, there is a lava column that stands 7.6 meters tall. It's like a tower made of frozen lava, just standing there in the darkness. Jeju became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2007, and it is truly one of nature's greatest masterpieces. Number 32. Canaima National Park, Venezuela. Number 32 is home to something absolutely mind-blowing. The tallest waterfall on the entire planet. Welcome to Canaima National Park in Venezuela. Deep inside this park is a waterfall called Angel Falls. And it is not just tall, it is insanely tall. The water drops 979 meters straight down. That's 3,212 feet. To put that in your head, Angel Falls is 15 times taller than Niagara Falls. 15 times. And here is the wildest part. The waterfall is so incredibly high that most of the water never even reaches the bottom as water. It falls for so long that it turns into mist on the way down. The water literally disappears into thin air before it can hit the ground. But Angel Falls is not the only amazing thing here. This park is filled with giant flat-topped mountains called tepuis. They look like someone took a knife and cut the tops of the mountains perfectly flat. These tepuis rise thousands of meters above the jungle below. And they are so old and so isolated that each one has its own plants and animals that exist nowhere else on Earth. And by the way, these tepuis are the exact mountains that inspired the floating Paradise Falls in the movie Up. Canaima became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994. And once you see it, you will never forget it. Number 31. Yellowstone National Park, USA. Number 31 is a place where you are literally standing on top of a supervolcano. And yes, it is still active. Welcome to Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone was the very first national park ever created in the entire world, all the way back in 1872. And the reason it became so famous? The ground here is alive. Right beneath your feet, there is one of the largest active supervolcanoes on Earth. And because of that volcano deep underground, the surface is filled with over 10,000 thermal features. We are talking about geysers that shoot boiling water into the sky, hot springs that bubble like giant cooking pots, and mud pots that gurgle and pop all day long. The most famous one is called Old Faithful. It is a geyser that erupts roughly every 90 minutes, shooting hot water up to 55 meters in the air. And it has been doing this for thousands of years, like clockwork. But the real showstopper? Grand Prismatic Spring. It is the largest hot spring in the United States. It's bigger than a football field. And the colors? Oh, the colors. Bright blue in the center, surrounded by rings of orange, yellow, and green. Those colors come from tiny bacteria that love extreme heat. They're so small you cannot see them, but together they paint this spring like a rainbow. Yellowstone became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1978. And honestly, it's like visiting another world without ever leaving America. Now, those first 10 were incredible, right? But we're just getting started. The next 10 are even more mind-blowing. And number 25? That one literally made my jaw drop. Number 30. Swiss Alps Jungfrau-Aletsch, Switzerland. Number 30 takes us to the heart of Europe. To a place with so much ice, so much snow, and so much beauty that it almost does not feel real. Welcome to the Swiss Alps Jungfrau-Aletsch region. Right here in the middle of Switzerland is the largest glacier in all of Europe. It is called the Aletsch Glacier. And it stretches for 23 kilometers through the mountains. That is longer than most cities are wide. Just one giant river of ice, slowly moving between some of the tallest peaks in the Alps. And when I say tall, I mean tall. The mountains in this region rise over 4,000 meters into the sky. Snow covers them all year round, and the views from the top? Absolutely unreal. But here is the number that will really blow your mind. The Aletsch Glacier contains around 27 billion tons of ice. Let that sink in. 27 billion tons. That is more ice than most people can even imagine. And this region tells a story that goes back millions and millions of years. The way these mountains formed, the way the glaciers carved through the rock, it all shows us how the Alps were built, piece by piece, over an incredibly long time. UNESCO recognized this place in 2001. But here is the sad truth. This glacier is disappearing. It is melting faster than scientists ever expected. And what took millions of years to create could be gone in just a few generations. Number 29. Serengeti National Park, Tanzania. Number 29 is the home of the greatest animal show on the entire planet. Nothing else even comes close. Welcome to the Serengeti in Tanzania, Africa. This park covers a massive 14,750 square kilometers of wide open grassland. And every single year, something absolutely incredible happens here. It is called the Great Migration. 1.5 million wildebeest start running, and they do not run alone. 200,000 zebras join them. 300,000 gazelles follow right behind, all of them moving together across the Serengeti, searching for fresh grass and water. Just close your eyes and picture that for a second. Millions of animals running together across the African plains, stretching as far as your eyes can see. The ground shakes, the dust fills the sky. It is one of the most powerful things you could ever witness. But here's where it gets intense. When these animals reach the rivers, they have to cross. And waiting for them in that water are giant crocodiles, just sitting there, perfectly still, waiting for their moment. And when the herds jump in, it becomes a real-life battle of survival. Some make it across, some do not. The Serengeti is also home to the famous Big Five: lions, leopards, elephants, buffalo, and rhinos, all living here in the wild. UNESCO listed the Serengeti in 1981, and it is truly one of the last great wild places left on Earth. Number 28. Ha Long Bay, Vietnam. Number 28 is a place that looks like a dream you never want to wake up from. Welcome to Ha Long Bay in Vietnam. Now, imagine this. You are floating on calm, emerald green water. And all around you, rising straight up out of the sea, are nearly 1,600 islands made of limestone. Some of them are small, some of them are massive, and most of them are covered in thick green trees and plants. These islands are not flat. They shoot up like towers, like giant pillars coming right out of the ocean. And the shapes are wild. Some look like animals, some look like castles, and some have hidden caves and tunnels inside them that you can explore by boat. The most amazing part, most of these islands are completely untouched. Nobody lives on them, nobody has built anything on them. They are just sitting there, exactly the way nature made them for millions of years. Ha Long Bay sits in the Gulf of Tonkin in northeastern Vietnam, and the name Ha Long actually means descending dragon. And that name comes from one of the most beautiful legends you will ever hear. The story says that a long time ago, when Vietnam was being attacked by invaders from the sea, a family of dragons flew down from heaven to protect the land. And these dragons spat out jewels and jade from their mouths. When those jewels hit the water, they turned into the thousands of islands you see today. And those islands blocked the enemy ships from reaching the coast. The dragons loved the land so much that they decided to stay. And the place where they landed became known as Ha Long, the place where the dragons came down. UNESCO listed Ha Long Bay in 1994, and it is one of those places that makes you feel like magic is real. Number 27. Galápagos Islands, Ecuador. Number 27 is not just a beautiful place. It is the place that changed everything we know about life on Earth. Welcome to the Galápagos Islands. These 19 volcanic islands sit in the Pacific Ocean about 1,000 kilometers off the coast of Ecuador. They are remote, they are wild, and they are filled with animals you will not find anywhere else on the planet. Giant tortoises that can live for over 100 years. Some of them were alive before your great-great-grandparents were even born. Blue-footed boobies, which are birds with bright blue feet that they show off to attract a mate, and marine iguanas, which are the only lizards in the entire world that actually swim in the ocean. The only ones on the whole planet, and they live right here. But here is why these islands truly matter. In 1835, a young scientist named Charles Darwin visited the Galapagos, and what he saw here changed his mind about everything. He noticed that animals on different islands looked slightly different from each other, and that one observation led him to develop the theory of evolution, one of the biggest scientific ideas in human history. And it all started right here on these islands. The Galápagos Islands were the very first place in the entire world to be named a UNESCO World Heritage Site back in 1978. The very first. That tells you just how special this place is. Number 26. Canadian Rocky Mountain Parks, Canada. Number 26 is a place with lakes so blue, so perfectly turquoise, that when people see photos of them, they always say the same thing. That cannot be real. Someone edited that picture. But nobody edited anything. These lakes are 100% real, and they are even more beautiful in person. Welcome to the Canadian Rocky Mountain Parks. This UNESCO site includes 4 incredible national parks all connected together: Banff, Jasper, Kootenay, and Yoho. Together, they cover a massive stretch of the Canadian Rocky Mountains. And inside this area, you will find some of the most stunning scenery on Earth. Tall, snow-covered mountains, thick green forests, rivers that cut through deep valleys, and those famous, jaw-dropping turquoise lakes. The 2 most famous ones are Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. Lake Louise sits at the base of a glacier, surrounded by mountains on all sides. The water is so perfectly blue-green that it looks like someone poured paint into it. And Moraine Lake, sitting in the Valley of the 10 Peaks, is so beautiful that it used to be printed on the Canadian $20 bill. But here is the science behind that magical color. It all comes from glaciers. You see, as glaciers move slowly over rocks, they grind those rocks into tiny, tiny particles, so small that scientists call them rock flour. When that rock flour washes into the lakes, it floats in the water. And when sunlight hits those tiny particles, they reflect blue and green light back to your eyes. That is why the lakes look turquoise. It's not a trick. It's not a filter. It is glaciers grinding rocks into dust so fine that it turns water into liquid jewelry. UNESCO recognized these parks in 1984, and they remain some of the most visited and most loved natural places on the planet. Number 25. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park, Wulingyuan, China. Number 25 is a place that looks so unreal, so impossible, that a famous movie director saw it and said, "I need to put this in my film." That director was James Cameron, and that film was Avatar. Remember those floating mountains in Avatar? The ones where the characters fly between giant rocks hanging in the sky. Well, those mountains were inspired by a real place, and that real place is Zhangjiajie National Forest Park in China. Welcome to Wulingyuan. This area has over 3,000 sandstone pillars shooting straight up out of the ground. Some of them are over 200 meters tall. They are thin, they are towering, and they are everywhere. Just imagine thousands of giant stone fingers reaching up toward the sky. And here is where it gets truly magical. When clouds and mist roll into the valley, which happens often, these pillars look like they are actually floating. The clouds cover the bottom of the pillars, so all you see are the tops poking through the mist. It looks exactly like the floating mountains in Avatar. Exactly. In fact, one of these pillars was so connected to the movie that it was officially renamed Avatar Hallelujah Mountain, a real mountain on Earth renamed after a science fiction movie. That is how incredible this place looks. And if that was not enough, Wulingyuan also has the world's highest and longest glass bridge. It hangs between two cliffs hundreds of meters above the ground. And yes, the floor is completely made of glass, so you can look straight down through your feet at the valley far below. UNESCO listed Wulingyuan in 1992, and it is one of those places that proves nature can create things that even the best movie studios cannot imagine. Now, quick question for you. Have you been to any of the places we have talked about so far? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps the channel. All right, let's keep going. Number 24, Göreme National Park, Cappadocia, Turkey. Number 24 is a place where people did not just live on the land, they lived inside it. Welcome to Cappadocia in Turkey. The first thing you notice here are the rocks. Thousands and thousands of tall, cone-shaped rock formations sticking out of the ground everywhere you look. They are called fairy chimneys, and they look like something straight out of the storybook. These fairy chimneys were created over millions of years. A long time ago, volcanoes in this region erupted and covered the land with thick layers of soft rock called tuff. Then, over time, wind and rain slowly carved that rock into these incredible shapes. Tall cones, pointed towers, and mushroom-shaped pillars just standing there across the landscape like a magical kingdom. But here's what makes Cappadocia truly special. Thousands of years ago, people figured out that this soft rock was easy to carve, so they started digging into it. They carved homes, they carved churches, they carved entire cities right into the rock itself. And we're not talking about small rooms, we're talking about massive underground cities that go 8 stories deep into the earth. One of these underground cities could hide up to 20,000 people at once. They built it to protect themselves from enemies. Down there, they had kitchens, bedrooms, churches, and even air shafts to breathe. A whole world hidden beneath the surface. Early Christians used these rock-carved spaces to practice their religion in secret. And many of the churches they carved still have beautiful paintings on the walls hundreds of years later. UNESCO listed Cappadocia in 1985 as a mixed site because it's incredible for both nature and human history. And today, you can actually sleep inside these carved rocks. Hotels have been built right into the fairy chimneys. You fall asleep inside a cave and wake up to something unforgettable. Hundreds of hot air balloons floating gently across the sky at sunrise, drifting slowly over the fairy chimneys as the morning light paints everything in gold and pink. A whole world hidden beneath the surface. It is one of the most photographed moments on Earth, and it happens here every single day. Number 23. Los Glaciares National Park, Argentina. Number 23 is home to a glacier that does something so powerful, so dramatic, that people travel from all over the world just to watch it happen. Welcome to Los Glaciares National Park in Patagonia, Argentina. The star of this park is called Perito Moreno Glacier, and it is an absolute monster. This glacier is 5 kilometers wide. That is wider than most towns. And at its face, The wall of ice rises 60 meters above the water. That is taller than a 20-story building. Just a massive, towering wall of blue and white ice stretching across the landscape. But here is what makes Perito Moreno different from almost every other glacier on Earth. While most glaciers around the world are shrinking and melting, this one is still growing. It is still moving forward, still pushing, still advancing. It is one of the very few glaciers left on the planet that is actually getting bigger. And every few years, something spectacular happens. As the glacier pushes forward, it blocks a nearby lake and creates a giant dam made entirely of ice. The water builds up behind it, pressure grows, and then, without warning, the ice dam explodes. Massive chunks of ice come crashing down into the water in one of the most incredible natural events you could ever witness. And even on a normal day, visitors can stand near the glacier and hear it. Deep cracks, loud booms, the sound of ice shifting and breaking echoing through the mountains. The glacier is alive, and you can hear it breathing. UNESCO listed Los Glaciares in 1981, and Perito Moreno remains one of the most thrilling natural wonders on the planet. Number 22. Te Wahipounamu, New Zealand. Number 22 is a place so magical, so green, so untouched, that a famous movie director looked at it and said, "This is Middle Earth." And that director was Peter Jackson. And those movies were The Lord of the Rings. Welcome to Te Wahipounamu in New Zealand. This UNESCO site covers a massive 2.6 million hectares of southwest New Zealand. That is a huge area of pure, raw, untouched nature. And inside it, you will find some of the most dramatic landscapes on the planet. Fiordland, where towering cliffs drop straight into deep, dark water. Mount Cook, the tallest mountain in New Zealand, covered in snow and glaciers. And Milford Sound, a place so beautiful that people call it the 8th wonder of the world. But Milford Sound holds a wild record. It is one of the wettest places on Earth. This area gets up to 8 meters of rain every single year. 8 meters. That's about the height of a 2-story house, just in rain. And all that rain creates hundreds of temporary waterfalls that pour down the cliff faces after every storm. But the animals here are what really make this place extraordinary. The kiwi bird lives here. It is a small, round, fluffy bird that cannot fly. It is so special to New Zealand that the people of the country actually named themselves after it. New Zealanders call themselves Kiwis. And then there is the tuatara. This little reptile looks like a lizard, but it is not one. It is the last surviving member of a group of animals that walked the Earth 200 million years ago. Before dinosaurs disappeared, before humans existed, the tuatara was already here. It is a real-life, living fossil. UNESCO listed Te Wahipounamu in 1990, and it remains one of the wildest, most untouched places left on Earth. Number 21. Iguazu National Park, Argentina/Brazil. Number 21 is a waterfall so massive, so wide, so thundering that it makes one of the most famous waterfalls in the world look tiny. Welcome to Iguazu Falls. Now, you have probably heard of Niagara Falls, right? Big, powerful, famous. Well, when former U.S. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt visited Iguazu Falls for the first time, she looked at it and reportedly said just 2 words: "Poor Niagara." And when you understand how big Iguazu is, you will say the same thing. This is not just one waterfall. It is 275 waterfalls, 275, all lined up along the Iguazu River, stretching across nearly 3 kilometers. That is almost 2 miles of waterfalls, side by side, all crashing down at the same time. The sound is deafening. The mist rises so high you can feel it on your face from far away. On sunny days, that mist creates rainbows. Not just one rainbow, permanent rainbows that hang in the air all day long, floating above the falling water like nature's own light show. And the most powerful part of it all is called Devil's Throat. This is the main fall, the big one. It is 82 meters high and 150 meters wide. And the water crashes down with so much force that the ground shakes beneath you. When you stand at the edge and look down into Devil's Throat, all you see is white water and mist swirling together like a giant boiling pot. It is both terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Iguazu Falls sits right on the border between Argentina and Brazil. You can visit from either side, and both countries give you a completely different view. Argentina puts you right up close, walking along the edge of the falls. Brazil gives you the big, wide panoramic view from across the river. UNESCO listed the Argentine side in 1984 and the Brazilian side in 1986. And together, they make one of the most jaw-dropping natural spectacles on the entire planet. All right, we are now in the top 20, and this is where things get really insane. Buckle up, because number 15 is a place that will actually make you question reality. Number 20, Ngorongoro Crater, Tanzania. Number 20 is a giant hole in the ground. But not just any hole. This is the largest unbroken volcanic crater on the entire planet, and inside it, 25,000 animals call it home. Welcome to Ngorongoro Crater in Tanzania. This crater is 19 kilometers wide and 600 meters deep. To give you an idea of how big that is, you could fit an entire city inside it. And instead of buildings and roads, this crater is filled with grasslands, forests, lakes, and thousands upon thousands of wild animals. Lions, elephants, zebras, hippos, buffalo, and one of the rarest animals on Earth, the endangered black rhino. All of them living together inside this one massive natural bowl. It is one of the densest concentrations of wildlife anywhere in Africa. No fences, no cages, just animals roaming free in a space that nature created millions of years ago. But here is the incredible backstory. The volcano that created this crater was once as tall as Mount Kilimanjaro, one of the biggest mountains in Africa. But millions of years ago, it collapsed in on itself. The top caved in and left behind this enormous crater. And over time, animals moved in and never left. And they are not the only ones living here. The Maasai people, one of Africa's most famous tribes, still graze their cattle inside the crater, right alongside the lions, right alongside the elephants. They have been doing it for generations. Humans and wild animals sharing the same land, the same water, the same space. UNESCO listed Ngorongoro in 1979, and it is truly one of the most unique places on Earth. Number 19, Phong Nha-Ke Bang National Park, Vietnam. Number 19 is hiding something inside its jungle that is almost impossible to believe. The biggest cave on planet Earth. So big that a Boeing 747 airplane could fly through it. Welcome to Phong Nha-Ke Bang National Park in Vietnam. Deep inside this thick green jungle is a cave called Son Doong. And it is not just big, it is unbelievably, ridiculously, mind-blowingly big. Son Doong is over 5 kilometers long. It is 200 meters high and 150 meters wide. Those numbers are hard to picture, so let me put it this way. You could fit an entire city block of 40-story buildings inside this cave, and they still would not touch the ceiling. But here's where it gets even crazier. This cave is so enormous that it has its own weather system. Clouds actually form inside the cave. real clouds, floating around underground. And in some sections, the ceiling collapsed long ago, letting sunlight pour in. And where the sunlight hits the ground, an entire jungle has grown. Trees, plants, and animals all living inside a cave. A jungle inside a cave. Let that sink in. And the wildest part of the whole story? Nobody even knew this cave existed until 1991. A local farmer stumbled across the entrance by accident while walking through the jungle. He heard wind and water coming from a hole in the ground, but the drop was too steep, so he walked away. It was not until 2009 that explorers finally went inside and discovered just how massive Son Doong really was. And today, only about 1,000 people are allowed to visit each year. That's it, making it one of the most exclusive natural wonders on Earth. UNESCO listed Phong Nha-Ke Bang in 2003, and Son Doong remains one of the greatest discoveries in modern history. Number 18. Kilimanjaro National Park, Tanzania. Number 18 is the tallest mountain in all of Africa. And here is the surprising part. You do not need any climbing experience to reach the top. Welcome to Mount Kilimanjaro. This giant stands 5,895 meters above sea level. That is the highest point on the entire African continent. And unlike most mountains this tall, you do not need ropes. You do not need special climbing gear. You just need your legs, your lungs, and a whole lot of determination. Thousands of people hike to the summit every year. Regular people, not professional climbers, just people who want to stand on the roof of Africa. But here is what makes the climb truly magical. As you walk up Kilimanjaro, you pass through 5 completely different climate zones. You start at the bottom in hot tropical jungle. Then you move into grassy moorland. Then into a dry, rocky desert. Then into a freezing alpine zone. And finally, at the very top, you reach an Arctic world of ice and snow. 5 different worlds on one single mountain. It is like traveling from the equator to the North Pole just by walking uphill. Kilimanjaro is actually a dormant volcano. That means it is sleeping but not dead. It has 3 volcanic cones, and the highest one is called Kibo. And sitting on top of Kibo are ancient glaciers that have been there for thousands of years. But here is the sad truth. Those glaciers are disappearing. Since 1912, they have shrunk by over 80%. Scientists warned that they could be completely gone within just a few decades. The snow on top of Africa's greatest mountain is melting away. UNESCO listed Kilimanjaro in 1987, and if you ever want to see those glaciers, the time to go is now. Number 17. Vatnajökull National Park, Iceland. Number 17 is a place where 2 of nature's most powerful forces exist at the exact same time: fire and ice, together in one place. Welcome to Vatnajökull National Park in Iceland. Vatnajökull is the largest glacier in all of Europe by volume. It is so massive that it covers about 8% of the entire country of Iceland. Just one giant blanket of ice stretching across the land as far as your eyes can see. But here is what makes this place different from any other glacier on Earth. Hiding underneath all that ice are several active volcanoes, real, active, erupting volcanoes, buried beneath a glacier. Fire, burning under ice. It sounds impossible, but it is real, and it is happening right now beneath your feet if you stand on Vatnajökull. And when those volcanoes erupt, something terrifying happens. The heat from the eruption melts enormous amounts of ice from underneath, and all that melted water has to go somewhere, so it bursts out from under the glacier in a massive, violent flood. These floods are called jökulhlaupar, and they are so powerful that they can completely reshape the landscape in just a matter of hours. Rivers change direction, roads get destroyed, giant chunks of ice get carried across the land like toys. But when things are calm, Vatnajökull is one of the most beautiful places you will ever see. Inside the glacier, there are ice caves with walls made of crystal blue ice. The light that comes through these walls glows in shades of blue that you did not even know existed. It's like walking inside a frozen gemstone. UNESCO listed Vatnajökull in 2019, and it is a powerful reminder that beneath the stillness of ice, our planet is always moving, always burning, always alive. Number 16. Sundarbans, Bangladesh, India. Number 16 is home to tigers that do something no other tigers on Earth do. They swim. Welcome to the Sundarbans. This is the largest mangrove forest in the entire world. It stretches across 10,000 square kilometers of thick, tangled, waterlogged jungle shared between Bangladesh and India. And the trees here do not grow on dry land. They grow right out of the water. Their roots twist and bend in every direction, creating a maze that looks like something from another world. But what makes the Sundarbans truly legendary is who lives inside this maze. Bengal tigers. About 100 Bengal tigers call this forest home, and these are not ordinary tigers. These tigers have adapted to do something incredible. They swim through salt water, from island to island, through rivers and channels, hunting in a flooded forest where most animals would not survive. They are the only tigers in the world that regularly swim in salt water and hunt in mangrove forests, the only ones. And the local people who live here know something very important about these tigers. They always attack from behind. Always. So, the people who go into the forest to fish or collect honey wear face masks on the back of their heads, a fake face looking backward. Because when a tiger sees those eyes watching it, it thinks it has been spotted and stays away. A simple mask, saving lives. But the Sundarbans do not just protect the animals inside, they protect millions of people too. This thick wall of mangrove trees acts like a natural shield against deadly cyclones that hit the coast. When massive storms roll in from the ocean, the Sundarbans absorb the blow and slow it down, saving countless lives. UNESCO listed the Sundarbans in 1987 for both Bangladesh and India, and it is one of the most important forests on the planet. Number 15. Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland, UK. Number 15 is a place that looks like it was built by a genius architect. Every stone is perfectly shaped. Every column fits together like a puzzle. But no human built this. Nature did it all by itself. Welcome to the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. Imagine walking along the coast and suddenly seeing 40,000 stone columns rising out of the ground and stretching into the sea. And almost every single one of them is a perfect hexagon. 6 sides, 6 corners, perfectly shaped, packed together so tightly that they look like tiles on a bathroom floor. Except these tiles are made of rock, and some of them are 12 meters tall. How is that even possible? Well, here's the science. About 60 million years ago, a massive volcanic eruption happened here. Hot, melted rock called lava poured across the land. And as that lava cooled down very slowly, it shrank and cracked. But it did not crack randomly. It cracked into these perfect hexagonal shapes. Nature's own geometry. No ruler, no measurements, just physics doing its thing. And the result is one of the most incredible things you will ever see. But the local legend tells a very different story, and honestly, it is way more fun. The Irish say that a giant named Finn McCool lived here. Across the sea in Scotland, there was another giant who kept challenging Finn to a fight. So Finn got angry and started ripping rocks out of the ground. He shaped them into columns and laid them across the sea, building a path all the way to Scotland so he could march over and settle things once and for all. And here's what makes this legend extra convincing. On the Scottish coast, on an island called Staffa, there are matching columns, the exact same hexagonal rocks, sitting on the other side of the sea, as if someone really did build a path between the two lands. Of course, science says both sets of columns came from the same ancient volcanic activity, but the legend of Finn McCool is so good that you almost want to believe the giant version instead. UNESCO listed the Giant's Causeway in 1986, and it remains one of the most mysterious and beautiful natural wonders in all of Europe. We just hit the halfway mark of the top 20, and I promise you, the top 10 has places that will make everything we have seen so far look ordinary. So, do not go anywhere.
Number 14. Wet Tropics of Queensland, Australia. Number 14 is a forest that has been growing for 180 million years. Let me say that again. 180 million years. That means dinosaurs once walked under the same types of trees that are still growing here today. Welcome to the Wet Tropics of Queensland in Australia. This ancient rainforest sits in the northeast corner of Australia, and it is not just old, it is the oldest type of rainforest on Earth. It is even older than the Amazon. While everyone talks about the Amazon being the greatest rainforest, this one has been here far, far longer. And the plants inside this forest are like living time machines. This place has the highest concentration of primitive plant families found anywhere on the planet. Some of the plant species growing here have not changed in over 100 million years. They look the same now as they did when dinosaurs were walking around. The world changed, continents moved, ice ages came and went, but these plants just kept growing, exactly the same for millions and millions of years. And then there is the cassowary. This bird lives in the forest, and it looks like a dinosaur decided to stick around. It stands almost 2 meters tall. It has a bright blue neck, a red throat, and a hard, bony crest on top of its head. It cannot fly, but it can run fast, and it has a razor-sharp claw on each foot that can do serious damage. The cassowary is one of the most ancient-looking birds alive today, and when you see it walking through this 180 million-year-old forest, you truly feel like you have stepped back in time. UNESCO listed the Wet Tropics in 1988, and it is one of the most important and ancient ecosystems left on our planet.
Number 13. Sagarmatha, Mount Everest National Park, Nepal. Number 13 is the highest point on planet Earth, the roof of the world, the one mountain that every other mountain looks up to. Welcome to Mount Everest. Everest stands at 8,849 meters above sea level. That is so high that airplanes fly at about the same altitude. The air at the top is so thin that your lungs can barely get enough oxygen. The wind is so strong it can knock a grown person off their feet, and the temperature can drop to -60 degrees. It is one of the most extreme places on Earth, and every year, hundreds of people try to reach the top. But here is something most people do not know. Everest is still growing. Right now, as you watch this video. The mountain is getting taller by about 4 millimeters every single year. That might sound tiny, but over millions of years, it adds up. And the reason it keeps growing is because the Indian tectonic plate is still pushing into the Asian plate. That same collision that created the Himalayas millions of years ago is still happening today. Slowly, quietly, pushing Everest higher and higher. And here is something that will really blow your mind. Near the very top of Everest, scientists have found fossils of sea creatures.
tiny ocean animals embedded in the rock at the highest point on Earth. That means the rock at the summit was once at the bottom of an ancient ocean. It was pushed up by those same tectonic forces over millions of years until it became the tallest thing on the planet. The ocean floor became the roof of the world. Sagarmatha National Park also includes other massive peaks above 7,000 meters and deep green valleys. And living among these mountains are some incredible animals, including the endangered snow leopard and the adorable red panda. UNESCO listed this park in 1979, and Mount Everest remains the ultimate symbol of nature's power.
Number 12. Shiratoko Peninsula, Japan. Number 12 takes us to a side of Japan that most people never see. No busy cities, no bright lights, no crowds. Just pure, untouched wilderness where brown bears outnumber people. Welcome to Shiratoko Peninsula. This place sits on the northeastern tip of Hokkaido, Japan's most northern island, and it is the wildest, most remote corner of the entire country. When you come here, you leave modern Japan behind and step into a world that nature still completely controls. The name Shiratoko comes from the ancient Ainu language. The Ainu are the indigenous people of this region, and in their language, Shiratoko means the end of the earth. And when you stand at the tip of this peninsula, looking out at the cold, endless ocean, you understand exactly why they called it that. This place is home to one of the most pristine ecosystems in the entire northern hemisphere. Brown bears roam the rivers catching salmon, eagles circle overhead, whales swim in the waters just offshore, and the forests are so thick and untouched that some areas have never been explored by humans. But here is what makes Shiratoko truly unique. Every winter, sea ice drifts down from the Sea of Okhotsk and surrounds the peninsula. This is the lowest latitude sea ice in the entire northern hemisphere. That means nowhere else this far south on Earth do you see ice floating in the ocean like this. And that sea ice is not just beautiful, it is the engine that drives everything here. When the ice melts in spring, it releases nutrients into the water. Those nutrients feed tiny ocean creatures. Those creatures feed the fish. The fish feed the bears and the eagles. And just like that, the ocean and the land are connected in one perfect circle of life. UNESCO listed Shiratoko in 2005, and it is one of the most beautifully balanced ecosystems on the planet. Number 11. Tsingy de Bemaraha, Madagascar. Number 11 is a place so sharp, so dangerous, so wild, that even the people who live nearby gave it a name that means you cannot walk barefoot here. Welcome to Tsingy de Bemaraha in Madagascar. Now picture this. Thousands and thousands of razor-sharp stone needles shooting straight up out of the ground, packed tightly together like a forest, but instead of trees, it is rock. Jagged, pointed, knife-like rock stretching as far as you can see. These formations are made of limestone, and over millions and millions of years, heavy tropical rain slowly carved the rock into these incredible needle shapes, drop by drop, year after year, century after century, until the landscape became one of the most unusual places on the entire planet. Some of these stone needles rise over 100 meters tall, and between them are deep canyons, hidden caves, and underground rivers that flow beneath the surface in total darkness. But here is what makes Tsingy even more special. Life found a way. Between these sharp, dangerous rocks, animals and plants are thriving. Lemurs jump from needle to needle with perfect balance. These cute, big-eyed creatures are found nowhere else on Earth except Madagascar, and they have learned to live in one of the most difficult landscapes imaginable. And that is actually true for almost everything in Madagascar. 90% of the wildlife on this island is endemic. That's a fancy word that means it exists nowhere else on the planet. Nowhere. Not in Africa, not in Asia, not in South America. Only here. 9 out of every 10 animals and plants you see in Madagascar cannot be found anywhere else in the world. UNESCO listed Tsingy de Bemaraha in 1990, and it is one of the most extraordinary and otherworldly places on Earth. Now, here we go. The top 10. These are the places that even other UNESCO sites are jealous of. And number 1, I honestly do not think any place on Earth compares. Stay with me. Number 10. Grand Canyon National Park, USA. We are in the top 10, and we are starting with a place that is not just a canyon. It is a history book, written in rock, stretching back 2 billion years. Welcome to the Grand Canyon. Now, you have probably seen pictures of the Grand Canyon, but let me tell you something. No picture, no video, no screen can prepare you for what it feels like to stand at the edge and look down. Your brain cannot process it. It is too big, too deep, too wide, too everything. The Grand Canyon is 446 kilometers long. That is longer than the distance between some countries. It is up to 29 kilometers wide in certain spots, and at its deepest point, it drops over 1,600 meters straight down. That is almost a mile below your feet. And the river that carved all of this? The Colorado River. It has been cutting through this rock for about 5 to 6 million years, day after day, year after year. One river slowly slicing through stone like the world's most patient sculpture. But the canyon itself is just the beginning of the story. The real magic is in the layers. Look at the walls of the Grand Canyon and you will see stripes, layers of different colored rocks stacked on top of each other. Red, orange, brown, tan, gray. Each one of those layers is a different chapter in Earth's history. The rocks at the very top are the youngest. They are about 270 million years old. That is already ancient. But as your eyes travel down, the rocks get older and older and older. And at the very bottom, sitting at the edge of the Colorado River, are rocks that are nearly 2 billion years old. 2 billion. That is almost half the age of the Earth itself. You are looking at rock that existed long before dinosaurs, long before fish, long before almost any life as we know it. And every single layer tells a different story. Some layers were once desert sand dunes, some were ancient seafloors, some were swamps, some were shallow coastlines, all stacked on top of each other, preserved in stone, for us to read like the pages of the oldest book ever written. And here's one more thing that will surprise you. The Grand Canyon has its own weather. It is so deep that the climate at the top is completely different from the climate at the bottom. It can be snowing and freezing at the rim while it is warm and dry down by the river. 2 different worlds separated by just a mile of rock. UNESCO listed the Grand Canyon in 1979, and standing at its edge is one of those moments that changes the way you see the world. Number 9. Virunga National Park, Democratic Republic of Congo. Number 9 is one of the most incredible and one of the most heartbreaking places on this entire list. It is home to the last mountain gorillas on Earth and the world's most dangerous volcano. Welcome to Virunga National Park. This is the oldest national park in all of Africa. It was created in 1925, and for nearly 100 years, it has been protecting some of the rarest and most precious animals on the planet. About 1/3 of all the mountain gorillas left in the world live right here. 1/3 in this one park. These gentle giants are critically endangered, meaning they are dangerously close to disappearing forever. And Virunga is one of the last safe places they have left.
But Virunga is not just about the gorillas. Deep inside this park is a volcano called Ngorongoro. And at the top of this volcano is something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. A permanent lake of lava. Bubbling, glowing, red-hot melted rock just sitting inside the crater like a giant pot of fire. It is one of only a few permanent lava lakes in the entire world. And at night, the glow lights up the sky in deep orange and red. But here is the part that hits the hardest. The people who protect this park, the rangers, have one of the most dangerous jobs on Earth. Every single day, they risk their lives to keep the gorillas safe from poachers, from armed groups, and from people who want to destroy the forest. And the price they have paid is enormous. Over 200 rangers have been killed in the line of duty. 200 people who gave their lives so that these gorillas could live, so that this park could survive, so that future generations could still see mountain gorillas in the wild. UNESCO listed Virunga in 1979, and it stands as a reminder that protecting nature sometimes takes the ultimate sacrifice.
Number 8. Victoria Falls, Mosi-oa-Tunya, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Number 8 is a waterfall so powerful, so loud, so massive that the local people gave it the most perfect name imaginable. They call it Mosi-oa-Tunya, and that means the smoke that thunders. Welcome to Victoria Falls. And once you understand how big this waterfall is, you will understand why they call it that. Victoria Falls is 1,708 meters wide. That is over 1.5 miles of water falling all at once. And it drops 108 meters straight down. That is taller than a 35-story building. It is the largest curtain of falling water in the entire world. Not the tallest waterfall, not the widest waterfall, but the largest single sheet of water pouring over an edge anywhere on this planet. And during flood season, this thing becomes an absolute monster. 500 million liters of water crash over the edge every single minute. Every minute! That amount of water hitting the bottom creates a spray that rises 400 meters into the air. You can see that spray from miles away, looking like a giant column of smoke rising above the landscape. And the sound? The thundering roar of all that water can be heard from 40 kilometers away. You hear Victoria Falls long before you ever see it. That is why the locals call it the smoke that thunders, because that is exactly what it looks and sounds like. Victoria Falls sits right on the border between two countries, Zambia on one side, Zimbabwe on the other. And you can visit from either side to get a completely different experience. But here is the part that sounds absolutely insane. Right at the very edge of the falls where the water pours over, there is a natural rock pool. It is called Devil's Pool. And during the dry season, when the water level drops just enough, you can actually swim in it. Real people swimming in a natural infinity pool right at the lip of one of the most powerful waterfalls on Earth. You lie in the water, look over the edge and see 108 meters of nothing below you. Just mist and falling water and a drop that would make your stomach flip. It is one of the most thrilling and terrifying things a human being can do in nature. And no, there is no safety net, no glass wall. Just a small natural rock ledge underwater that keeps you from going over. That's it. You and nature. Trust and gravity. UNESCO listed Victoria Falls in 1989, and it is without question one of the most awe-inspiring sights on the face of the Earth.
Number 7. Yosemite National Park, USA. Number 7 is a valley so beautiful, so perfect, so jaw-dropping, that the first person who ever described it to the outside world said he thought he was dreaming. He could not believe a place like this actually existed. Welcome to Yosemite National Park. Yosemite sits in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. And from the moment you step inside this valley, you understand why people get emotional here. Some people cry. Some people just stand still and stare, because the beauty is overwhelming. Massive granite cliffs rise thousands of meters on either side of the valley. The most famous one is El Capitan. It is a sheer rock wall that goes straight up for over 900 meters. Climbers from around the world come here to try and scale it. Some take days, hanging on the rock face, sleeping in tiny tents attached to the cliff. It is one of the greatest climbing challenges on Earth. And then there is Half Dome, a giant rock that looks like someone took a perfect dome and sliced it right in half with a giant knife. It stands at the end of the valley like a monument, and hiking to the top is a bucket list dream for millions of people. But the waterfalls here are something else entirely. Yosemite Falls drops 739 meters from top to bottom. That makes it one of the tallest waterfalls in all of North America. The water falls in stages, crashing from one cliff to the next, sending mist across the valley like a soft, cool blanket. And then there are the trees. Yosemite is home to giant sequoias. These are some of the largest living things on Earth. Their trunks are so wide that you could drive a car through some of them. And they have been growing for thousands of years, standing quietly, getting bigger, watching the world change around them. But here's the moment that makes Yosemite truly magical, the one thing that people wait all year to see. Every February, for just about 2 weeks, something unbelievable happens at a small waterfall called Horsetail Fall. When the sun hits this waterfall at exactly the right angle, the water does not look like water anymore. It looks like lava, like fire pouring down the cliff face. Bright orange and glowing red streaming down the rock as if the mountain itself is on fire. It is called the Firefall, and it only happens for a short window each year when the sun lines up perfectly. Miss it, and you have to wait another 12 months. No special effects, no tricks. A reflection of sunlight, water, and perfect timing, creating one of the most breathtaking moments in all of nature. UNESCO listed Yosemite in 1984, and it's a place that makes you feel small in the best possible way. Number 6. Daintree Rainforest, Australia. Number 6 is the only place on the entire planet where two of Earth's greatest natural wonders stand side by side, touching each other, right next to each other. Welcome to the Daintree Rainforest. Now, we already talked about the wet tropics of Queensland earlier on this list, but the Daintree deserves its own special moment. Because what happens here is something that exists nowhere else on Earth. The Daintree Rainforest is approximately 180 million years old. It is one of the oldest rainforests in the world. Older than the Amazon, older than most mountain ranges. This forest has been growing, breathing, and surviving since the age of the dinosaurs. And this ancient forest does not stop at the edge of some road or some field. It grows all the way to the coastline, right up to the sand. And what is waiting in the water just beyond that sand? The Great Barrier Reef. 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites meeting at one place. The oldest rainforest on Earth, reaching out and touching the largest living structure on Earth. That place is called Cape Tribulation, and it is the only spot on the planet where tropical rainforest grows right up to a coral reef coastline. Think about that for a second. You can stand in a forest that is 180 million years old, walk for a few minutes, and then snorkel over a reef that is home to thousands of species of fish and coral. 2 completely different worlds, 2 of the most precious ecosystems on Earth, separated by nothing but a strip of sandy beach. And the Daintree is alive with incredible creatures. The southern cassowary walks through these trees. This giant, colorful, dinosaur-looking bird is one of the most important animals in the forest because it spreads seeds everywhere it goes. Without the cassowary, many of these ancient trees could not survive. UNESCO protects the Daintree as part of the Wet Tropics listing from 1988, and it is a place that reminds you just how connected everything in nature really is. Now, we're in the top 5. Pause for a second. Take a breath, because these next places are going to blow your mind.
Number 5. Amazon Rainforest, Central Amazon Conservation Complex, Brazil. Number 5. Top 5, and we are starting with a place that every single person on this planet depends on. Whether you know it or not, whether you have ever been there or not, your life is connected to this place. Welcome to the Amazon Rainforest. This is not just a forest. This is the lungs of the earth. The Amazon produces around 20% of the world's oxygen. 1 out of every 5 breaths you take exists because of this forest. Without the Amazon, the air we breathe would not be the same. Life on Earth as we know it would not be the same. Let that sink in for a moment. The Central Amazon Conservation Complex, which is the UNESCO protected part, covers over 6 million hectares. That is an area so big it is hard to even picture. But the Amazon rainforest as a whole is even bigger. It is the largest tropical rainforest on the entire planet, stretching across multiple countries, covering an area almost the size of the entire continent of Australia. And what lives inside this forest is beyond anything you can imagine. The Amazon is home to 10% of all species on Earth. 1 out of every 10 living things on this planet calls the Amazon home. We're talking about jaguars, the most powerful big cats in the Americas, pink river dolphins that swim through muddy waters, anacondas, the heaviest snakes in the world, poison dart frogs so colorful they look like they were painted by hand, monkeys, parrots, toucans, sloths, and millions of insects that scientists have not even named yet. And the river itself? The Amazon River is the mightiest river on Earth. Here is a fact that will blow your mind. There are more fish species in the Amazon River than in the entire Atlantic Ocean. Let me say that again. One river has more types of fish than an entire ocean. That is how incredibly rich with life this place is. And scientists are still discovering new species here all the time. Almost every other day, a researcher finds something that has never been seen before. A new frog, a new plant, a new insect, a new fish. The Amazon is so vast and so unexplored that we still do not know everything that lives inside it. UNESCO listed the Central Amazon Conservation Complex in 2000 and extended the protected area in 2003. But the truth is, the Amazon needs more than just a title. It needs the world to care. Because right now, this forest is being cut down. Every minute, an area roughly the size of a football field disappears. Trees that took hundreds of years to grow are gone in hours. And with every tree that falls, species are lost. Oxygen is lost. And a piece of our planet's future is lost. The Amazon is not just Brazil's forest. It's everyone's forest. It's our air, our medicine, our biodiversity, our future. And protecting it is not a choice. It's a responsibility. Number 4. Great Barrier Reef, Australia. Number 4 is not a mountain, not a forest, not a canyon. It is alive. It is the largest living thing on the entire planet. And it is so big, astronauts can see it from space. Welcome to the Great Barrier Reef. Now, let those words sink in for a moment. The largest living thing on Earth. Not the largest animal, not the largest tree, the largest living thing. And it is not on land, it is underwater, stretching along the northeast coast of Australia for over 2,300 kilometers. 2,300 kilometers of life just sitting beneath the waves. The Great Barrier Reef is made up of nearly 3,000 individual reef systems and hundreds of islands. And it was not built by machines. It was not built by humans. It was built by billions of tiny creatures called coral polyps, each one smaller than your fingernail. These tiny animals have been building this reef for thousands of years, layer by layer, generation after generation, each new polyp building on top of the ones that came before. And over time, they created the largest structure ever built by any living thing, bigger than anything humans have ever constructed. And the life that calls this reef home is absolutely staggering. 1,500 species of fish, from tiny clownfish hiding in anemones to massive whale sharks gliding through the blue. 400 different types of coral, each one a different shape, a different color, a different design. Some look like brains. Some look like fans. Some look like deer antlers swaying in the current. And then there are the bigger animals. 30 species of whales and dolphins swim through these waters. Sea turtles that have been coming here for millions of years still return to lay their eggs on the same beaches. Manta rays with wingspans wider than a car fly through the water like underwater birds. The Great Barrier Reef is not just a place, it is an entire underwater world, a hidden city of life that most people will never see with their own eyes. But it is there, right now, beneath the surface, alive and breathing. UNESCO listed the Great Barrier Reef in 1981, and for decades it has been one of the most celebrated natural wonders on Earth. But here is the truth that we need to talk about. The Great Barrier Reef is in trouble. Rising ocean temperatures are causing something called coral bleaching. When the water gets too warm, the coral gets stressed and turns white. It loses its color. It loses its life. And if the water stays warm for too long, the coral dies, gone forever. Scientists say that large parts of the reef have already been severely damaged, and if temperatures keep rising, we could lose major sections of the Great Barrier Reef within our lifetime, within your lifetime. Billions of tiny animals spent thousands of years building this, and we could lose it in a matter of decades. This is not just a place to visit. This is a place to visit soon, before it is too late, before the colors fade, before the life disappears, before the largest living thing on Earth becomes a memory. Number 3. Purnululu National Park, Bungle Bungles, Australia. Number 3. And this one has a story that is almost impossible to believe. Imagine a mountain range so incredible, so unique, so breathtaking that it looks like nothing else on Earth. And then imagine that the entire world had absolutely no idea it existed until 1983. Welcome to Purnululu National Park, home of the Bungle Bungles. These are massive sandstone domes that look exactly like giant beehives, hundreds of them clustered together across the landscape. And every single one of them is covered in perfect horizontal stripes, orange and black, over and over again. Like nature painted them with a giant brush. The orange stripes are caused by iron oxide staining in the rock, and the dark bands are created by cyanobacteria, tiny living organisms that grow on the surface.
Together, they create a pattern so perfect, so consistent, that it looks like something designed by an artist. But nature did this all on its own. Over 350 million years. 350 million years these formations have been sitting here, long before humans existed, long before dinosaurs existed. These striped beehive domes were already here. But here is the part that makes your jaw drop. For tens of thousands of years, Aboriginal Australians knew about this place. They lived here. They walked among these domes. They held ceremonies here. This was their land and their secret. But the rest of the world had no clue. No explorer documented them. No scientist studied them. No tourist visited them. These incredible mountains sat in the remote outback of Western Australia, completely unknown to the outside world. Then in 1983, a television crew flew over the area in a helicopter. They looked down, and they could not believe what they were seeing. They filmed it. They shared it. And suddenly, the whole world discovered what Aboriginal Australians had known for thousands of generations. UNESCO listed Purnululu in 2003, and it remains one of the greatest hidden treasures ever revealed to the world. Number 2. Mount Fuji, Japan. Number 2. We are so close to the top, and this next place is not just a mountain, it is a symbol, a sacred icon, a masterpiece of nature that has inspired millions of people for thousands of years. Welcome to Mount Fuji. Rising 3,776 meters above sea level, Mount Fuji is the tallest mountain in all of Japan. And it is not just tall, it is perfect, almost impossibly perfect. The shape of this mountain is so symmetrical, so balanced, so beautifully cone-shaped that when you see it for the first time, you think it cannot be real. It looks like someone drew it, but it is very real. And it's actually a volcano, an active one. Mount Fuji last erupted in 1707. That eruption lasted for 16 days and covered the city of Edo, which is now Tokyo, in a layer of volcanic ash. And scientists say it could erupt again someday. Beneath that peaceful, snow-covered surface, the Earth is still alive, still hot, still full of energy. But despite the danger, the Japanese people do not fear Mount Fuji. They love it. They respect it. They consider it sacred. For centuries, Mount Fuji has been a place of spiritual importance. Monks and pilgrims have been climbing it for over 1,000 years, believing that reaching the summit brings them closer to heaven. Shinto shrines sit at the base and at the top. And every summer, hundreds of thousands of people make the climb, many waking up at 2 in the morning just so they can reach the peak in time to watch the sunrise. And that sunrise from the top of Mount Fuji has its own special name. It is called Goraiko. And the Japanese people believe it is one of the most beautiful sights a human being can witness. The sun rising over the clouds, painting the sky in gold and pink and orange, while you stand at the highest point in the country, above everything, above everyone, in perfect silence. Artists have been painting Mount Fuji for hundreds of years. The most famous painting is called The Great Wave, created by an artist named Hokusai in the 1800s. You have probably seen it, even if you did not know its name. A giant wave curling in the foreground with Mount Fuji sitting calmly in the background. That one image became one of the most recognized pieces of art in human history, all because of this one mountain. Poets have written about it. Musicians have composed songs about it. Photographers travel from around the world just to capture it reflected perfectly in the still waters of nearby lakes. Mount Fuji is not just a mountain. It is the heart and soul of Japan, a symbol of beauty, strength, and peace that has stood tall through earthquakes, eruptions, wars, and centuries of change. UNESCO listed Mount Fuji in 2013 as a cultural heritage site, recognizing its deep spiritual and artistic importance. But anyone who has ever seen it will tell you that nature made something truly extraordinary here. And now, there is only one place left. Number 1, the greatest natural wonder on this entire list. And trust me, nothing could have prepared you for what is coming next. Number 1, Rio de Janeiro, Carioca Landscapes, Brazil. This is it. Number 1. The greatest natural wonder on this entire list. The place that sits above all 39 others. And when you hear what makes it so special, you will understand exactly why it earned the top spot. Welcome to Rio de Janeiro. Now I know what you are thinking. Rio de Janeiro? A city? At number 1? But listen to me carefully, because Rio is not just a city. It is a city that nature built a masterpiece around. Imagine this. Massive granite mountains rising straight up out of the ocean. Thick tropical forest covering every hillside right in the middle of the city. Golden beaches stretching between towering cliffs. And bright blue water sparkling under the sun as far as your eyes can see. No other city on Earth looks like this. Not even close. The most famous landmark is Sugarloaf Mountain, a giant rounded rock that shoots 396 meters straight up from the edge of the water. You can ride a cable car to the top and look out over the entire city, the mountains, the beaches, and the endless Atlantic Ocean. The view from up there is one of the most photographed views on the planet. And then there is Corcovado Mountain, standing at 710 meters tall with the world-famous statue of Christ the Redeemer on top, arms wide open, looking over the entire city. That statue has become one of the most recognized symbols on Earth. But it is the mountain underneath it and the thick Tijuca forest surrounding it that earned the UNESCO title. And speaking of Tijuca forest, here is something most people do not know. Tijuca is the world's largest urban forest, a massive tropical rainforest growing right in the heart of one of the biggest cities on the planet. Monkeys swing through the trees, toucans fly between the branches, waterfalls pour down rocky cliffs, and all of it is happening just minutes from busy streets and apartment buildings. This forest was almost completely destroyed in the 1800s when people cut down the trees to make room for coffee plantations. But then, something incredible happened. The government decided to replant the entire forest, tree by tree, by hand. Over many decades, they brought the forest back to life. Today, Tijuca Forest stands as one of the greatest environmental recovery stories in human history. Proof that when humans decide to fix what they broke, nature comes back. And the beaches, Copacabana, Ipanema, names that the whole world knows. Golden sand meeting turquoise water surrounded by green mountains and dramatic rocky coastline. It is the kind of scenery that makes your heart skip a beat. UNESCO listed the Carioca landscapes of Rio de Janeiro in 2012, and they did it because nowhere else on this entire planet do you find this combination. Mountains, ocean, forest, beaches, and wildlife all woven together in one single breathtaking location. Other cities have buildings, other cities have history, but Rio de Janeiro has nature on a level that no other city can match. And that is why it sits at number 1, the place where the mountains meet the sea, where the jungle meets the city, where nature decided to create its greatest masterpiece and then let humans build a home right in the middle of it. And there you have it. We just traveled to 40 of the most incredible natural places on the entire planet, from the alien-looking dragon blood trees of Socotra Island all the way to the breathtaking mountains and beaches of Rio de Janeiro. We saw waterfalls that turn into mist before they hit the ground, caves so big they have their own weather, glaciers that explode, tigers that swim in salt water, mountains that float in the clouds, a forest that gives us the air we breathe, and a reef so big you can see it from outer space. 40 places, 40 wonders, all real. all on this one beautiful planet we call home. But here is the thing. Many of these places are in danger. Glaciers are melting, forests are being cut down, reefs are dying, the clock is ticking, and some of these wonders might not be here forever. So if this video inspired you, do something about it. Visit these places, respect them, protect them, and teach others to do the same. Now, I have a question for you. Out of all 40 places, which one surprised you the most? And which one are you adding to your bucket list right now? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and I truly want to know. And if you loved this video, please hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. I make videos like this every single week, taking you to the most amazing places on Earth. So subscribe now so you never miss one. And if you want more right now, click on this video right here for another mind-blowing journey around the world. Trust me, you are gonna love it. I'll see you there.